Hello everybody, my name is Sam and welcome back to English Fiesta. Today we are joined by a super special guest. We are joined by Hannah from Wicked Good English. How are you doing today, Hannah?
Hi Sam, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yep, I'm doing really good. Here in Argentina, it's starting to become winter. So it's getting a little bit cold, but nothing I can't deal with as an Englishman.
Very nice. In Boston, where I live in Boston, Massachusetts, United States, and it's becoming summer. So we have the opposite situation, and it's very nice. Finally getting warmer.
Lucky you. I'm very, very jealous. Cool. So what the video is today is we're going to be playing a little game of assumptions. Hannah and I have prepared 3 assumptions or stereotypes that we have about the other person's country. We're going to be saying them to the other person, and they have a chance to convince us whether they're true or whether they're false. Hannah, do you understand the idea of the video?
I understand. I'm ready.
Excellent. Then let's get started. Hannah, would you like to tell me your first assumption about the United Kingdom?
Sure. So my first assumption is that English people drink too much tea.
Okay, interesting. This is definitely one I expected. So, I think there are 2 main ways to look at this. Firstly, how much tea is too much? I mean, who doesn't love a good cup of tea? It's a really tasty drink, it gives you energy, and it's an amazing way to socialize with your friends. Most of life's most important conversations happen with a cup of tea in your hand back home in England. There is nothing better than catching up with a friend you haven't seen for ages and sharing a nice cup of tea together. Secondly, I think this is a bit of a stereotype as well. The truth is, Britain does not drink the most tea in the world. We're actually 3rd behind Turkey and behind our neighbours Ireland. So, per individual, we really don't drink as much tea as most people think. I personally do not drink tea, and I have loads of friends back home who don't drink tea either. If anything, I'd say we're more of a coffee drinking nation. So, Hannah, have I managed to convince you?
I don't know. Because every movie that I've seen, not every movie, but a lot of movies, a lot of shows of people in England, they're drinking tea. I've been to London. I saw a lot of tea shops, but I suppose it's a stereotype and not true for everybody. I do have one question for you. Do you drink Yerba Mate? Because I know that you live in Argentina.
Funny enough, I have my mate right here next to me. Yes, I do. I think Argentines drink Yerba Mate like the world think the British drink tea. Anytime you leave the house here, you'll see at least 10 different people with a mate in their hand and a thermos in their other, so they can keep hot water. The way I describe it to people is it's like a mix between green tea and coffee. And for someone who doesn't particularly like either of those things, it's the perfect medium. So yes, I'm a very big fan of Yerba Mate.
I also love Yerba Mate, but I haven't figured out how to make it for myself yet. I'm not good at making it.
Yeah, there's definitely some learning required. Cool. We'll move on to the next assumption. So, Hannah, my first assumption about America is that all American food is super, super unhealthy.
Okay, Sam, well, maybe you're right. American food is unhealthy. It is fried, it is high in sugar, fat, salt, it is processed. Chemicals are added to the food to make it last longer, but it tastes so good, and that you can't argue. There's nothing like eating a cheeseburger at a cookout in the summer, fresh off the grill with a side of French fries. What about having a hot dog at a baseball game with an ice cold beer? And what about our regional dishes? We have Southern fried chicken, Texas barbecue. You can get a cheesesteak in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There's also so many different kinds of pizza. We have famous New York pizza, Chicago deep dish pizza. And what about pie? American pie. We have apple pie, blueberry pie, chocolate pie, pecan pie. Life is not complete without pie. So, yes, American food is unhealthy, but American food is good for the soul. And in moderation, it's great. And I hope that you're getting hungry.
That was going to be my first comment. All of that talk about hot dogs and burgers definitely made me feel a bit hungry. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm convinced. You did mainly agree with the assumption. So I'll ask a slightly different question. Do you think it's possible to eat healthily whilst living in America?
Yes, I think that if you want to, you can definitely eat healthy in America. I think that probably you have to cook more for yourself. You have to, buy healthy groceries, buy vegetables, fruits, and not go out to eat as much. But America is a country that's built of a lot of different cuisines. So you don't have to eat burgers and hot dogs and French fries. You can eat anything, really. So if there's healthy food from a different country that you like, you can definitely find it in America. So yes, I think that you can eat healthy food.
Nice. Okay. I think I've been convinced a little bit. Cool. Hannah, what is your next assumption?
Okay. My next assumption is that in England, the weather is always bad.
Okay. Now, this is one I can definitely agree with. As somebody who left his country, the weather was a big factor. In Britain, the weather is not great. I mean, it rains all the time, and we often go for several days without seeing the sun. Grey clouds, grey skies, it can be quite depressing at times. Especially in winter, our days become really, really short. During December, by about 4:30 in the afternoon, it's completely dark outside, which can be quite upsetting. You leave the house in darkness and you come back home in darkness too. Furthermore, when it does get hot, the heat is really unbearable. It's humid, it's sticky, and our infrastructure is not built to deal with it. In my lifetime, the weather in Britain has changed a lot as a result of climate change. So our winters are not as cold as they used to be, and our summers are far hotter. But I will say the weather in Britain is not something to be desired. It's not great.
Okay, I think you convinced me that you have bad weather. But also, I live in Boston, and I think that weather in Boston is very similar to weather in London, for example. We maybe not as much rain, but we definitely have a lot of rain, a lot of cloudy days. In the winter, it gets very, very cold. In the summer, it gets hot and humid. So it's not great, but I think that there is beauty to the change of the seasons. So that's something that's nice about New England, where I live, and England, where you're from.
Yeah, that's a really, really nice way of putting it. People in England say in one day you can experience all 4 seasons, and I'm sure that's very similar to Boston.
Definitely.
Nice. Okay, Hannah. Next, I'm going to give you my second assumption, and that is that Americans do not walk anywhere. Americans don't walk anywhere.
Okay, I can see why you would think that. Americans do love their cars. They like the convenience and the comfort of driving. I would say that it depends on where you live. So I live in a city, and yes, there are a lot of people that drive, that take public transportation, but also there's a lot of people that walk. Personally, I love walking. It's one of my favorite pastimes. So it depends on the person, but maybe Americans enjoy their comfort zones a little bit more than people in England or in Europe, South America. But I would say in the city, more people walk. In the suburbs, which are areas outside of the city, or areas that are in the country, more people drive. So it depends on where you're located.
Okay, I definitely think you've convinced me. When I wrote this assumption, I was definitely thinking of certain cities in the USA, such as Los Angeles, or maybe some cities in Texas, where there really isn't much public transport and not many things are accessible by foot. So you do have to drive everywhere. But I guess on the East Coast, things are a bit different. Do you think that's the case? Maybe certain cities are very unwalkable, whereas others are a bit better.
Definitely. It depends on the city. Los Angeles and let's say Austin, Texas, for example, those cities are very spread out and there's not the best infrastructure for public transportation. But a city like New York City, you don't need a car. I think it's actually more difficult to have a car because parking is tricky. So a city like New York City, everyone is walking or taking public transportation.
Nice, excellent, cool. We'll move into our third and final assumptions. Hannah, what is the last one that you have for me?
Okay, my last assumption, and don't take this personally, is that English people have bad teeth.
I'll try not to take it personally. Okay, no. I'm a bit unsure with this one. It's obviously a very well-known stereotype that English people have really bad teeth. And I do honestly think there may be some truth to it. When I went to school, I'd say over half of the children there wore braces to straighten their teeth or retainers to move their teeth forward. So a lot of kids definitely had it. I was one of the few who didn't. So it's possible that there are some bad dental genetics floating around Britain. However, these issues are all fixed now by braces, so I don't think that stereotype is true. But in terms of dental hygiene, I don't think Britain is any different to other countries. There will be some people who take their dental hygiene very seriously. They brush their teeth twice a day, they floss, they do everything that they need to. And there'll be others who don't. So, yeah, I'm not too sure about this one, Hannah.
Okay. I think that you convinced me on your point of view. I think that in America, we have a strange standard of having absolutely perfect teeth. I don't know why, but you want to have perfectly straight teeth, perfectly white teeth. I remember in high school, everybody had those white strips that you put on your teeth to make your teeth whiter, which is a strange thing to do when you're 15. So I think that the standard of teeth is too much, actually, in America. So, yes, I don't think that.
Yeah.
I mean, your teeth are fun. You have great teeth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that standard also exists in England, in Britain. There are lots of people who fly over to Turkey to get fake teeth. We call them veneers. To me, they always look really strange. They're perfectly straight, bright, shining white, and they look very unnatural. So, yeah, I think that standard also exists to a certain extent in Britain as well. Excellent. So, Hannah, my final assumption about the United States of America is that the entire country is extremely patriotic. You guys love America.
Okay. Well, I think that when people think of the typical American, they think of big trucks, a huge American flag on the back of the truck, people wearing camouflage with guns. And that is true, actually, for some Americans. Sometimes I see it in Boston, but I don't think that that's true for every American. I think that the majority of the people that I have met are not like that. I actually don't know too many people that have American flags in their homes or even in their apartments. So, but also on the flip side, I think that it's not a bad thing to have pride in some aspects of the country that you live in. America is made up of many different cultures, and I can walk down the street here in Boston and I can hear so many different languages being spoken. And I think that that is a very cool part of living in America. I know that we have many problems. Our country has many problems. So, you shouldn't be blindly patriotic, but I think that there is a lot to be proud of living here. We have so many different kinds of food that you can try. So I don't have an American flag hanging from my window, but I think that it can be a beautiful place to live.
Nice. Okay. Unfortunately, despite the fantastic argument you presented, I'm not convinced. Mainly because I see things on the internet all of the time, and America seems very different to the rest of the world in terms of patriotism. For example, did you say the Pledge of Allegiance at school every day?
I did.
Exactly. For me, as a British person, that seems crazy. Something you'd expect to see out of somewhere like North Korea, not out of the United States. So, yeah, I'm not super convinced, unfortunately.
Yes, that particular thing is something that when you're a kid and you're in school, you do it just because the teachers tell you to do it and you don't really think about why you're doing it. But then later on, you're like, that was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. We'll finish up there then. Thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below any assumptions you guys have about the United Kingdom or the United States of America. As always, make sure to subscribe. And Hannah, the floor is yours. Where can all the lovely people of English Fiesta find you?
So thanks for having me, Sam. If you guys want to check out some of my content, I have a YouTube channel called Wicked Good English. Wicked is a slang word in Boston that we use for very. So wicked good is very good. So Wicked Good English. Yes.
Excellent. Well, I'll make sure to leave all of Hannah's information down below in the description so you guys can find her easily. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.